All right, I'm here with Michael Thompson, CEO of ISB Global Services. Michael's been with the business for 8 years. And Michael, thank you for joining us on helping our clients prevent and stay out of the courtroom for a nuclear verdict.
Yeah, my pleasure, Scott. Glad to be here.
So the goal today is just give everyone a little sneak peek onto why they should show up on Wednesday, the 24th, for the overall panel. So just want to get some bite-sized pieces for some of the expertise that you're going to bring to the table. And sitting in the seat of background screens, a lot of our experts in insurance and risk management and legal are going to say it's all about documentation. But as you and I know, a safety director is just going to be a professional documenter if we don't involve technology and automation to make all this happen. So, Michael, would you mind just starting by saying what role does the background screening industry play in preventing these huge awards?
Yeah, I think it's critical in the context of making sure that the recruiters are looking at accurate information. And, one of the best practices we're trying to deploy here in the Canadian space, for many years, the trucking industry relied on the driver to bring in their own documents. And, there's numerous cases of, with technology today, drivers altering their abstract or their criminal record to take the things off that they don't want other people to see. So one of the things that we encourage is make sure that the recruiter, the company, is getting the information directly from the source. And that's where a company like us comes into play. We have direct connections with all the driving ministries across the country, as well as kind of access directly to people's criminal checks that we can provide not only timely but accurate information. And while it might not make sense in the short term to be paying for those documents on behalf of the driver, it's definitely going to pay dividends in the long term.
Yeah, just 2 cents, as someone who started in the United States and is going up north into Canada, I was actually taken aback that Canadian companies are requiring drivers to make that purchase and bring it in. Especially with in a driver shortage labor market, something that if it can be a way forward, it's to speed it up. So maybe talk about that of how can recruiters, the competitive advantage of being quicker and not having to choose more information or fast.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions and around the ability to get information quickly. And as you mentioned, there is a driver shortage and recruiters are under tremendous pressure to get through that recruiting and onboarding process quickly. Again, coming back to technology, using systems like avatars and ISB's technology, we have direct connections or APIs right into those vendors. So things become instant. So where before it used to take days or sometimes weeks to get a driver qualified, we're down to minutes and hours in the context of using that technology successfully. And ironically, we can get kind of those documents into the hands of that recruiter much quicker than even the driver can, because when a driver goes and does it manually, they're sitting at a police station or in the MTO, basically waiting for their documents to be provided, and we can do everything electronically and serve it up in literally minutes. So gives that recruiter kind of that information in a timely manner, because without it, that driver's got options. I mean, there's a driver shortage, and at the end of the day, they can, they've got options. And unfortunately, if the recruiter can't be attentive and timely, they're going to potentially lose out on that driver. So absolutely critical that we get that information into their hands in a timely manner, which we can by leveraging our technologies together.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's right. It can be penny wise, pound foolish in that of saving a buck by having the driver do it and manage it, because hey, we're an employer of choice and people are lucky to work for us. I think that mentality is dangerous these days. And to your point, think about it from a candidate experience standpoint. Your first impression is giving a potential new hire an errand to go run and to ask them to spend a couple bucks. And so it's going to take longer, to your point. And if you've got an empty seat or a customer who has a need, it's end up hurting you. And that $5 or that $10 or whatever it is not worth those extra weeks to wait. So to your point, we can have our cake and eat it too. in terms of speed and then a level of depth. So just kind of last point, Mike, would you mind just describing some of the more detailed records that people may not be taking advantage of, that to truly understand who this driver is? I think you said earlier their DNA.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple of things that I can share with the group that some people may or may not be aware of. So in Canada, there's a national database called CPIC, it's the RCMP, and it houses all of our national criminal records. And something that's not as well known is that that database can be up to 2 years behind actually registering offenses. So for example, I could go check your record today, Scott, in the national database, and it could be clear. However, 2 weeks ago, you could have been charged and convicted for a major crime in one of the provinces. And because of the delay of getting that information into the national database, it wouldn't be caught. So you could be putting a driver with a record on the road. So, some of the things that we do to help our customers from that perspective are making sure that we also check every local police service. So we check the national database and we check all the police stations across the country to see if there's any kind of, offense in progress, so to speak, so that we can give them the most accurate check. So knowing little tidbits like that is really important, because, it would be very devastating that you use a best practice of doing a criminal check and then you find out that the actual RCMP product might not have been updated and you actually didn't get what you kind of bargained for. So that's one area. And then the second area I think we find people looking at now is, typically in the trucking industry, everybody's looked at kind of my historical driving record and how have I been, and then even insurance companies are making decisions around, how much should that driver's insurance cost based on his past performance. Yeah, we have a product in the industry now that basically looks at somebody's kind of risk behavior. So things like distractibility. And by filling out a survey, you can get a pretty accurate prediction of somebody's potential to offend in the future as opposed to their historical. And that predictive view is becoming very popular amongst our clients and with insurers as well. So we've done some studies and we've taken driver pools, run them through this DSQ survey, understand what their risk profile is for things like distractibility and rules resistance, et cetera. And then we bumped it up against kind of their driving record with their insurer. And sure enough, high levels of distractibility are kind of resulting in, 300% increase in the possibility of getting into an accident. So there are tools now available and dedicated to the trucking industry that are helping us better understand what the likelihood of a driver's risk is versus just looking at their historical. Again, pretty cutting edge stuff, but for those fleets that are looking to put the safest drivers on the road, those are the types of tools that people are starting to take notice and use going forward.
No doubt, they recognize that investment, understanding who a driver is, understanding historical behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. With the climate that we've got in terms of litigation, what it costs for an accident, it's just not worth it to bring anyone on just to fill the seat. So I appreciate you taking a deeper dive into what is available out there for everyone to make sure they're bringing on the right fit. So Michael, I appreciate it. That's the little nuggets we'll give everyone and hopefully entice them to come see us on Wednesday, the 24th. It'll start at 12 o'clock Eastern. And we'll have links to register within the notes and as part of this recording below here. So Michael, I want to thank you for the time and looking forward to seeing you on the 24th.
Yeah, me too, Scott. Thanks so much.